Welcome to my channel. My name is MaryAnngeline, and for today's practice, all you need is your mat and yourself. Before we get started, be sure to like, subscribe, and turn on the notifications bell so you can get notified when I release a new video. And click above to be added to the Kinesi community newsletter for more creative vinyasa flow yoga classes, workshops, teacher trainings, and retreats. Now roll out your mat and let's get flowing. With our legs in butterfly. So a reclined bound angle pose. Feet touching, knees wide. Arms can be out by your sides or hands on the belly, the heart, maybe one and one. Just find a comfortable variation of this posture. If you are using blocks or would like to use blocks, you can place the blocks underneath the knees as support. Regardless, we'll take this time to connect to our breath, to cultivate awareness for our body, for our practice, and for all parts of ourselves so that we can take what we learned on our mats, off our mats into our daily lives. With the eyes gently closed, allow yourself to connect to an internal drishti, so an internal focus point. Some options may be gazing at the tip of your nose or the belly button, maybe even third eye center. But even with our eyes closed, we are able to take a drishti point to have that focus point that will help bring us into this present moment and cultivate that awareness for the body. Allow for a deep breath in and deep breath out. 2 more times. Inhale, exhale. Inhale to find expansion. Exhale to soften. Continue for about 3 to 4 more cycles of breath, allowing the knees, hips, shoulders, back of the head, everything to soften into the mat. Cultivating the rhythm of your breath in this moment. Committing to yourself that you will be just as focused on your breath during your flow as you are now. On your next in-breath, extend your arms overhead, straighten out the legs for a long body stretch. Feel the length through both sides of the body. And hug your knees into your chest. Give them a tight squeeze with your hands on your shins. Hug them in, but also with the strength of your hips, press the sacrum down. So you have an oppositional force here. The more you hug the knees in towards the belly, the more you press the sacrum, the tailbone down into the mat. Begin to adjust your arms out to a T or cactus. Keep the knees and thighs together and allow them to fall to the right. As the knees fall towards the mat, relax them. If they don't touch the ground comfortably and you have a block, you can place a block either between the knees or underneath the knees. The gaze can stay up towards the ceiling or look over your left shoulder. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Inhale. Exhale. 1 more in. 1 more out. Bring your gaze back to neutral first and guide your knees also to neutral. Transitioning to our second side, let the knees fall to the left. Maybe you gaze to the right. And if you use a block on the first side, adjust the block on this side as well. Working towards a sense of balance between the 2 sides. Being mindful that each side is going to feel very different, and that's okay. One side may feel easier than the other, but that doesn't mean one side is better than the other. So a good reference point is to take what you learn on the side that feels better and apply that knowledge to the side that may not feel as great. Let's slowly bring the gaze back to neutral and the knees. Grab a hold behind your legs now. Rock forward and back the length of the spine. Plant the hands to the mat as you step your feet back, arrive in downward facing dog. This first down dog, take your time to add any movement that feels good. Take your time to reconnect to the breath. So just because we're in a different posture now doesn't mean that we don't focus on breath, that we don't allow it to still continue to support us. Begin to walk your hands back towards your feet at the back of the mat, coming into forward fold. Head hangs heavy, arms rest towards the ground. You can have a slight bend in your knees if you need it. Just be mindful that no matter if your knees are bent or straight, we're still engaging through the legs, so engage through inner thighs and quadriceps. Now open your feet as wide as your mat, heels in, toes out for our garland pose or malasana. The knees will bend as the booty drops towards the mat. Our goal ideally is to have the heels touching the ground. So know if you need to walk your feet wider or bring them closer, that adjustment may support you if your heels aren't touching. Another adjustment is maybe you place a blanket underneath the heels so you have something to press against, especially if the Achilles feel very, very tight. Arms can be wherever you'd like. An option, if you need one, would be elbows to the inner thighs, palms touch at heart center. And regardless if your elbows are in your inner thighs or not, use the strength of your legs to continue to press the knees away from the chest. Use the strength of the abdominals to lift through heart center to create length through the spine. One more deep breath in. One more deep breath out. Hands to the mat, straighten the legs, turn the toes to point forward so they're parallel. Ground down through left palm. If your left hand doesn't touch the ground easily, bend your knees or place a block under your hand. Lengthen the spine. Keep the left hand down. Begin to send the right arm up towards the sky. Maybe place the right hand on the lower back if that's more comfortable. Be mindful that you didn't just shift your pelvis to accommodate for this twist. Draw the left hip bone back, right hip bone forward to the hips stay even. And roll the right shoulder back as you zip the belly in. One more inhale. Exhale to slowly unwind. Now ground down through the right palm. Take notice of the pelvis. Make sure the hips are even. Keep that connection as you send the left arm up towards the sky. If you took the option of hand to the sacrum or to the lower back, take that here as well. As you cultivate breath, continue to be mindful of the hips and of the chest. One more in breath. One more out breath. Releasing your hand to the mat. Turning the toes out, heels in one more time for our malasana, our garland pose. Coming into it the second time, maybe your feet adjust wider, shorter. Maybe you decide to do a parallel malasana so the toes stay pointing forward. Either way, our goal is to really let the pelvis be heavy as the knees widen if you're in traditional malasana. And that the weight's even on all four corners of both feet, regardless if you're in traditional or parallel malasana. One more in breath. One more out breath. Straighten the legs, pivot the toes forward, keep the feet wide. Walk your hands forward to plank pose, so a wide plank position. Hands underneath the shoulders, fingers spread wide, so much so that if I was in the room with you, in person, I could slide my fingers in the spaces you're creating. So keep that solid foundation through the palms. One more breath in. As you exhale, draw the lower belly in, press the pelvis up and back for a wide variation of down dog. Pause here. Take this moment to reflect on how this down dog with the wide legs feels different than down dog with the feet either touching or only hip distance apart. We'll be here for about 3 more cycles of breath. Begin to send your right knee towards your left elbow. So we're just going directly there, right knee to left elbow. Kick the foot out to the side for fallen triangle. Ground down through right palm, send the left arm up towards the sky. Press the pelvis up, then slowly lower the pelvis down, staying in the same facing that you are, keeping the legs wide in a straddle position. Begin to fold between the inner thighs. As you come into this straddle fold, be mindful of the hips. We want the hips heavy. Weight into the sits bones, the bony landmarks in your bottom. Inner thighs spiral up, so we keep that external rotation. Feet active, whether flexed or pointed. Pause for a breath in. Pause for a breath out. One more inhale. One more exhale. Begin to round up the spine, transitioning out the same way you came in. Plant your right hand next to your right hip. Activate the legs, engage them. Lift the hips up, left arm up towards the sky. Plant the left hand on the mat, step the right foot back for a wide downward facing dog. Adjusting into second side. Left knee to right elbow, shift the weight automatically forward as you bring the knee to the elbow. Kick the left foot out to the side, ground down into left palm, send the right arm up. Pelvis extends up towards the ceiling just as much as the right arm. So there's a lift through the hips, lift through the chest. One more inhale. Exhale, slow lower onto your bottom. As you lower onto your bottom, begin to fold the chest between the inner thighs, coming back into our straddle fold, just coming through it in our second side. We'll be here for about 3 more rounds of breath. Nice, deep, long breaths. Begin to round up the spine. Plant your left hand next to your left hip and lift the pelvis up for your fallen triangle. Plant the right hand to the mat, send the left leg back for wide down dog. Walk your feet together now for traditional down dog. And drop your knees to the mat, tabletop. Keep the hips directly above the knees. Toes are pointed. Actively press down to the shins and the top of the feet. Walk your hands forward, as far forward as you can, to get your chest and your chin to the ground without letting your hips move forward or back. Transition into puppy dog. Arms are nice and straight. Fingers are spread, arms active, chest, chin to the mat. Belly draws in, knees stacked underneath the hips. Continue to press down into the shins. 3 breaths in this puppy dog. If it's too much for you, you can always bring your forehead down to the ground instead. You can always place a blanket underneath the knees, the shins, the tops of the feet. You can also place a block under the hands or the forehead. So in these videos, I may not show every option, but it is important that you choose what's best for you and that you try different things, even if you don't necessarily see them on the screen. Ground down into your palms, slither your way forward onto your belly, allowing the legs to straighten long behind you, and keeping your forearms to the ground with your palms in line with your elbows and your elbows directly underneath your shoulders. Sphinx pose. Squeeze the inner thighs together. Keep the toes pointed. Press down to the tops of the feet. Allow the kneecaps to lift off the ground. Press down into your palms and forearms. Lift the back of the heart. Take the gaze forward or maybe up. If you'd like a stretch to the back of the neck, drop the chin towards the chest. Zip up the lower belly. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. As you lower your forehead and chest to the mat, slide your hands back, palms next to your low ribs, elbows point up. Tuck your toes under now. Press up to plank pose. You can keep the knees down on the mat to come up to modified plank first and then plank. Either way, shift the pelvis back, downward facing dog. Deep breath in and deep breath out. Your next in-breath, lift your heels as high as you can. Exhale, bend your knees, move forward to the top of the mat, walk, step, or hop forward. Inhale to elongate the spine, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, rise up to stand, reach the arms overhead. Exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, sweep the arms overhead, gaze up, draw the belly in. Exhale, forward fold, dive it down, head is heavy. Inhale, halfway lift, elongate the spine. Exhale, forward fold, plant the palms, step your feet back, plank pose. Begin to shift your weight forward into your fingertips, shoulder shift, past the wrists. As you exhale, lower to your belly in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Point the toes, press down to the tops of the feet. Inhale, cobra pose. Float the chest and forehead off the mat, keeping the gaze down. Exhale, release forehead to the mat. Tuck the toes under. Inhale, plank pose. Press up, maybe transition through modified plank. Exhale, downward facing dog. Press back. Inhale, heels high. Exhale, knees bend, look forward, move forward, step, walk, or hop. Inhale, halfway lift, lengthen. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, rise up to stand. Exhale, hands to heart center. 2 more rounds of our Sun A. Inhale, arms high, gaze up. Exhale, forward fold, feel the crease at the hips. Inhale, lengthen spine, draw belly in. Exhale, forward fold, plant the palms. Inhale, plank pose, step the feet back. Exhale, lower to the belly in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, cobra pose, point the toes as you float the chest. Exhale, release forehead to the mat. Tuck toes under, inhale, plank pose. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, heels lift. Exhale, move forward, top of the mat. Inhale, lengthen the spine. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, rise to stand. Exhale, hands to heart. Inhale, arms high. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold. Inhale, plank pose. Exhale, lower to the belly in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, cobra pose. Exhale, release forehead to the mat. Inhale, plank. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, heels high. Exhale, move forward, top of your mat. Inhale, lengthen spine. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, rise to stand. Exhale, hands to heart center, close the eyes. Reconnect with the breath. Slow it down if it feels like it's sped up. Feel the connection of your feet into your mat. Feel the length of the spine, the lightness of the head. We'll continue to connect with our Sun A, but we'll add some variation to it. Take a deep breath in through the nose, and an open mouth exhale, sigh the breath out. Blink your eyes open, keep your palms together. Inhale, extend the palms up, forearms towards the top of the head. Exhale, flat back, extend your arms out to a T as you lower your chest halfway. Keep the chest as it is. Inhale, sweep your arms straight forward. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, plank pose. Exhale, lower to your belly. Inhale, cobra pose. Exhale, forehead down. Inhale, plank. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, extend your right leg back and up. Keep the leg nice and straight. Don't worry about the height. As you press the right leg up, draw your left hip bone back. Exhale to step your right foot between your palms, spiral your left heel down, rise up, warrior one. Arms high, front knee bent, back leg straight. Squeeze those inner thighs towards each other as you squeeze the arms towards each other. One more in-breath. Exhale, hands to heart center, just like we did a mountain pose. Inhale, lift the forearms in line with the eyes. Exhale, flat back, arms out to a T. Inhale, reach the arms forward. Exhale, hands to heart center, warrior one. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Adding just one more component. On your inhale, once again, lift the forearms up in line with the eyes as you straighten your front leg this time. Exhale, flat back, arms reach to a T. Keep the front leg straight. Inhale, warrior one, bend the knee, reach the arms up. Exhale, hands to heart center. Two more times. Inhale, forearms, palms up. Straighten the right leg. Exhale, flat back, arms to a T. Inhale, reach the arms forward. Exhale, warrior one, bend the front knee, hands to heart center. One more time. Inhale, forearms up, palms up. Straighten the front leg. Exhale, flat back, arms to a T. Keep the leg straight. Inhale, arms move forward. Exhale, hands to heart, warrior one, bend the front knee. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Plant your hands. Step your right foot back, plank pose. Lower all the way down to your belly. And on your in-breath, cobra pose. Press the chest up. Out breath is to release back down. Tuck the toes under. Inhale, plank pose. Exhale, downward facing dog. Second side. Inhale, extend your left leg back and up. Keep the leg nice and straight, pelvis neutral. Back of the knees long. As you exhale, step your left foot between your palms. Spiral the right heel down. Rise up, warrior one. Take a moment to adjust your stance. That back foot does not have to be directly side. We want it actually more towards the front diagonal. So if you need to, if your hips feel uncomfortable, you can always open your stance right to left a tad and adjust the back leg so the hip and the toes point more forward rather than side. Deep breath in to find length. Exhale, hands to heart center. Keep the palms connected. Inhale, lift those forearms up. Exhale, flat back, arms out to a T. Inhale, arms reach forward. Exhale, return hands to heart center, lift the chest. Now adding that straight front leg the next 3 rounds. Inhale, forearms up, palms up, straighten the front leg. Keep the leg straight. Exhale, arms to a T, flat back. Inhale, arms reach straight forward. Exhale, warrior one, hands to heart center, bend the front knee. Inhale, forearms up, palms up, straight front leg. Exhale, flat back, arms to a T. Inhale, arms move forward. Exhale, bend the knee, hands to heart, warrior one. Once more, inhale, forearms up, straighten front leg. Exhale, flat back, arms to T. Inhale, reach the arms forward. Exhale, hands to heart center, warrior one, bend the front leg. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Plant the palms on your mat. Step your left foot back, plank pose. Lower all the way to your belly. On your inhale, float the chest up, cobra pose. Exhale, release forehead to the mat. Tuck the toes under, inhale, plank pose, press up. Exhale, downward facing dog, press back. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. Inhale to extend the right leg back and up. Exhale, step your right foot between your palms. Lower your back thigh to the ground. Keep your toes tucked under. Press either your hands to your front leg, bring your hands to heart center, or extend them up towards the ceiling for low lunge. Allow yourself to press pelvis forward as you squeeze the inner thighs together. So we're going into the strength and flexibility of this posture. Pausing here for a couple more rounds of breath, maybe even closing the eyes now as we slow ourselves down. Begin to release your hands to the mat, framing out your front foot. And just simply slide the right foot across the mat for pigeon pose, bringing your shin down to the ground. You can stay lifted in an active pigeon or fold over your shin for passive pigeon. If you need to, you can use the block for under your right butt cheek or under your left thigh. You can also place a blanket in those areas or bring blocks to forearms or forehead. Take your time to adjust into a comfortable variation of pigeon, one that you're able to connect to an even stance, so there's as equal weight on the right side as there is on the left, that the back toes are pointed in line with the ankle, and that we're not just hanging out. So even in the passive variation where you're folded forward, we're still activating about 25 to 30% of our muscles, keeping things engaged. So just like our low lunge, we're working into the strength and the flexibility. And we're not just dropping in to different areas that may not be able to support the stretch. We'll be here for about 3 more rounds of breath. Begin to plant your hands. Tuck the back toes, lift the back knee, step your right foot to plank, downward facing dog. Left leg high, inhale. Exhale, step your left foot between your palms, lower your back thigh to the ground, keep your back toes tucked under. We'll get a stretch through that arch and the ball of the foot. Hands to either your thigh, your heart, or up towards the sky. Commit to the same variation you took on the first side, even if this side feels a little different. Like we've said earlier in this practice, both sides will feel different, and that's okay. Hug inner thighs together. Zip up the lower belly. Lengthen through the sides of the body, so create space between your rib cage and your hip bones. Couple more cycles of breath here. Slowly plant your hands on the mat, framing out your left foot. Slide the left foot across the mat for pigeon pose. Transition again into the same variation. Take a moment to be mindful of where your weight is. Is it even in both sides? Where the placement of your back foot is, especially from ankle to toes. And if you're using a block, making sure that you're settling on your block comfortably, whether it's on the hips, the forearms, or the forehead. And finally, the most important part, of course, is the breath. So connecting to the breath, allowing it to keep you in this present moment for just a little bit longer, cultivating that awareness for our body. We're here for about 2 more rounds of breath. Begin to plant your palms on the mat. Tuck the back toes, lift the back knee. Step your left foot to plank. From plank, downward facing dog. Walk your feet to the top of the mat to your hands. Once you arrive, bend your knees deeply, bring your bottom to the ground, and lie down onto your back body. Once on your back, just like we did earlier, long body stretch, reach the arms overhead. And as you exhale, hug your knees into your chest. Slide your hands to either your ankles, the side of the feet, or the big toes for happy baby. Allow the knees to open up wide. Press the knees to the outer sides of the body, so towards the armpits. As you press your knees down, also ground down through the tailbone. So similar to what we did in the beginning of practice with the knees into the chest, we had that oppositional feeling. We hug the knees in as we press the hips down. Same thing here, but now the knees are wide and we're pressing them to the mat as we drop the tailbone down. Pause for one more inhale. And one more exhale. Give your knees one more tight squeeze into the chest. Maybe wrap your arms around your shins if you'd like, forehead to your knees if you'd like. And release into your final Savasana. Legs extend long, feet flop open, arms rest by your sides, palms up, eyes closed. When it's time, I will guide you out, so simply allow yourself to absorb and integrate all parts of this practice. Enjoy. Begin to slowly awaken the body. Add movement back into your hands and your feet, your arms and your legs. Make your way up to a seated position, however it's easiest for you. And once you're in the seated position, eyes stay closed, hands together. Rub the palms to create some heat. And place the warmth of your left hand on your heart, right hand on top of your left, breathing into your heart space. Silently thanking yourself for being on your mat today, for continuing to cultivate awareness, breath, and change in the body, the mind, and the spirit. I want to thank you. And until next time. Thank you so much for flowing with me today. Put any future requests and comments below, as I would love to know how much you enjoyed this class, this practice. If you're interested in longer form, ad-free videos, be sure to click here to access 3 long form videos for free, just for my YouTube subscribers. Otherwise, if you want more flow with me on YouTube, click right here. Thanks again, and I'll see you all next time.